Star Trek's last TOS movie unexpectedly foreshadows Chris Pine, Kirk's favorite song. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, unexpectedly foreshadows Captain James T. Kirk's, Chris Pine, favorite song in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies. Star Trek VI is set in Star Trek's prime timeline, whereas J.J. Abrams' Star Trek 2009, Star Trek Into Darkness, and Star Trek Beyond are set in the alternate Kelvin timeline. However, Star Trek VI takes place in 2293, over 3 decades after J.J. Abrams' Star Trek movies happen in the alternate reality, which span from 2258 to 2263. Yet the word sabotage is curiously relevant in Star Trek VI, which was produced in 1991, 18 years before J.J. Abrams directed his first Star Trek movie. Sabotage is a popular song by Beastie Boys, released in January 1994 as the first single from their album Ill Communication. Although Sabotage never came close to hitting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, Beastie Boys' track was a huge hit on MTV thanks to its music video directed by Spike Jonze. Sabotage was nominated for 5 Moonmen trophies at the 1994 MTV Video Music Awards. In Sabotage, the song has become a pop culture touchstone in the last 30 years, including being featured in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek 2009 and the Justin Lin-directed Star Trek Beyond in 2016. Star Trek VI unexpectedly sets up Chris Pine, Kirk's favorite song, amusingly. Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, explained the etymology of the word sabotage, and it can be seen as an unexpected foreshadowing of Beastie Boys' song in Star Trek 2009. If the Star Trek movies are being watched chronologically in theatrical release date order. In Star Trek VI, L.T. Valeris, Kim Cattrall, explains where the origin of sabotage comes from to L.T. Naoto Uhura, Nichelle Nichols, and Scotty, James Doohan. It's funny how sabotage comes up in Star Trek VI and then pops up again so distinctively in the form of Beastie Boys' Sabotage in Star Trek 2009, along with pretending Starfleet communications are scrambled in Star Trek VI. Another significant act of sabotage occurs in Star Trek III, The Search for Spock. Scotty sabotages the USS Excelsior's transwarp drive, which allows the USS Enterprise to be hijacked by Admiral James T. Kirk, William Shatner, and his crew. Beastie Boys' Sabotage makes a comeback in Star Trek Beyond. Beastie Boys' Sabotage being featured in Star Trek 2009 was divisive. General audiences were entertained by the audacity of the young James T. Kirk, Jimmy Bennett, stealing his stepfather's convertible and driving it off a cliff in an act of defiance. Many longtime Star Trek fans, however, didn't enjoy a contemporary track spotlighted in a science fiction film set in the 23rd century. But that didn't stop Star Trek Beyond from reprising Sabotage. This time, the adult Captain Kirk, Chris Pine, nods approvingly while Sabotage disrupts the swarm army of Krall, Idris Elba, allowing the USS Franklin to attack and destroy them. The lyrics to Beastie Boys' Sabotage are about their producer who was the worst person ever and how he was always sabotaging us and holding us back, according to the 2020 documentary Beastie Boys Story. This fits with the young Kirk stealing a car and blasting Sabotage, as Jim hates his domineering stepfather and wants to get away from him. From Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country to J.J. Abrams' trilogy, watching the Star Trek movies can give fans a full appreciation for what sabotage means to Star Trek.